And let's see when it goes live. Not wearing a ring. That's the thing. We gotta say, I know. I need a ring. You're not wearing one either. I know, right?
I'm not on camera.
It looks like we are live. The connection is coming through right now. Get confirmation. Chat, if you can see and hear us, go ahead and say hello. I see y'all in the chat. Lovely viewers. Hit that like button as well. Every click counts. It matters. Hey, straight no chaser. Let's jump into the news. Let me make sure I'm on the correct screen. Fear and greed index has absolutely been impacted by the last 48 hours. And I think it's probably been impacted in the correct way. We currently see that we've got a score of 22, down from yesterday's 29, down from last week's 30. What does that mean? It means, of course, that these are emotionally driven markets. Mama Biz, Mrs. Mind Your Biz, what do you think? Are these emotionally driven markets?
Always.
Fear and greed, does it actually, those are the two primal emotions that get us to do things?
Yes, yes.
I think so too. But could this be a little bit overblown?
No.
It's probably not. Yeah, right.
Not at all.
Yeah, but before we go any further, let's just go ahead and let the boys and girls at home know whether or not this is any type of legal, financial, or business advice.
No, sir.
Yeah, it is definitely not any of those things.
You are responsible for your own decisions. This media is not intended as financial or investing advice. Do your own research or get wrecked.
Listen to the little lady. Those are truth bombs that she is floating your way. But fear and greed index, I think this is a counterindicator. I think it's the correct time for us to actually start setting our targets. Here at Mind Your Biz, we are as excited as ever. Not because people are being damaged. The damage that's happening in the markets is not something to take lightly. I mean, it could happen to anybody if you're using centralized exchanges. We believe in non-custodial ownership, not your keys.
Not your
crypto. It's that simple, right? Like you have to hold on to your own coins. And these centralized exchanges have definitely been illustrating this year, especially in 2022, with three major breakdowns that this is why. Liquidity crisis, if it affects you, liquidity crunch, then if you don't have your own crypto, you can't get out. That's the whole point of Bitcoin when it first launched. The Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, which we have covered on Mind Your Biz Classic, and we'll do it again on this channel. People need to know that most of these problems were solved by Bitcoin being a fixed supply. Now, we are multi-coiners in this house. We do believe in Web3 as well. There are a lot of additional use cases that Bitcoin does not directly address. But saying that you have a certain amount of an asset in an exchange and then fudging the numbers, Bitcoin was supposed to address that specific thing. But here we are falling for it again and again and again. It keeps on happening. Now, I don't mean to induce any kind of panic or like a run on Coinbase or Kraken or any of the other centralized exchanges, because there are some good actors in the space. There are some groups that are trying to do right by their corporate customers and by retail customers like us. But we keep on learning this lesson. Mama Biz, this is happening 3 times in 2022.
So let's illustrate those 3 times.
Yeah, right? Okay.
For the kids out there, what are we talking about?
Thank you. So it's FTX is only the latest in this string of breakdowns. We had 3 Arrows Capital, and then we had Celsius also break down this year in 2022. So these are the warning signs. They're the only warning shots that we're going to get, I think, a lot of us, before something truly terrible happens and this liquidity crunch winds up affecting other groups that FTX took loans from, and they can't get their loans back.
And would there have been, like, do you think anyone last week would have guessed, like, oh, I guess next week, FTX is going to be like gone?
Well, I mean, there are plenty of people who want to take credit for having predicted this. There are plenty of people who took some of the warning signs of, for example, the FTX president, and I think the COO as well, stepping down and leaving. Some of the main counsel for FTX also basically going home. Like, I'm not comfortable here anymore. But corporate churn is also a regular thing. Generally speaking, though, the executive suite, all the executive folks, they're C-level people. When they leave a company, it usually has some kind of deeper implication. So we need to read that stuff very carefully. Sometimes, though, it's damage control with their own reputation. You can have an executive leave a company. It's because they don't want to have it be discovered that they said or did something on Twitter 10 years ago that's going to get them canceled anyway. So they fall on their sword and they just leave. That happens all the time by way of trying to prevent the PR nightmare of being at a major company and maybe having the board ask for the resignation before it comes out. So I mean, this is complex stuff. There are meta games being played here too. So anybody who said like, oh no, for sure, those are the warning signs and everything's going to crap. I don't always buy that, right? When somebody says, no, I definitely called it. It is a safe thing to just say like, keep your crypto off exchanges because this could happen. And because it could happen, eventually it will.
And when it does, it's to the tune of billions.
Yeah, $8 billion in toxic debt with FTX right now. And that's going to affect a lot of people. A lot of families are going to get hurt by this. Quick shout outs to the live stream chat that we have right now from Automatic Beats. Says, good morning, miners. Kevin Hawthorne saying good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Always appreciate having Kevin in the chat. Appreciate you sharing the link, hitting like, of course, and making sure that you're subscribed if you're not already. That stuff matters. Every click counts. Your clicks count for more. I'm convinced, Mind Your Biz community, that your clicks count for more. So do help us out in that way. All right, that's the Fear and Greed Index. Let's take a look at TX Street right now. Just quickly get our eyes on the current fees on Ethereum and on Bitcoin. This is one of those indicators that tells us whether or not there's massive usage, and some of it is correlated to shutdowns on centralized exchanges like FTX. It does help us just understand a little better what's going on in the market. So here are little South Park looking characters representing a transaction on these networks, and they help us understand what the current fees are as well. Each one of these buses represents a block in the blockchain. And 41 Gwei, that's the atomic unit of Ethereum. It's 1 Satoshi is the smallest unit of a Bitcoin. 1 Gwei is the smallest unit of an Ether. So just for clarity there, if you didn't know. But that's the current gas fee to ride the bus, so to speak, to be included in that block on the blockchain before it's committed to the blockchain. Now you see there's a backlog on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's not always common for Bitcoin to have a low fee line, but the beauty of both these networks is, and I'm sure you knew this, Mama Biz, but the beauty of both these networks is you can choose the fee that you want to pay before you send your transaction. But if the market says, hey, prices are higher, you're not getting included in that block. It means your transaction is not going through. It's going to have to wait. So that low fee line, it's instructive, right? That's why I love this website, is because it really helps to illustrate what's going on there. It looks like the current pricing, though, the median contract fee at only $8.50 or so, U.S. equivalent, that tells me that things are slowing down. After the initial run on FTX, the rush that people were getting involved in to try to get their funds out. So things are kind of calming down there, but I don't think that the fallout from FTX is over yet. Just this side of it is kind of slowing down a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, so FTX updates, we have a lot more of those. Let me quickly take a look at our mining profitability over on the GPU stacked ranking, and it looks like profits are about where they were before. Just beware. We've been saying on Mind Your Biz for some time, be careful. Don't get involved in massive hardware purchases because the market is still dipping. We're still discovering new lows. We're still discovering bottom support for the Bitcoin and Ethereum markets, and that's going to affect the profitability of these pieces of hardware. So don't get yourself involved in toxic debt there on your own account. Be smart, right? Is what I'm saying. Be very, very smart. We got the cost to mine one full Bitcoin as well. We like covering this so that you're aware. These are other factors you need to be aware of, because when Bitcoin goes on sale, Mama Biz, you can buy it or you can mine it, right? And mining it becomes difficult if you have to pay for power. So you have to make sure you have the right efficiencies. It's a delicate business to be involved in. But about 8 cents per kilowatt hour is the best possible rate most people will be able to get in their state. You'll always have a pool fee. It's typically about 1%. So it looks like the cost to produce one full Bitcoin is about $14,100, almost $14,200 right now. And quickly taking a sneak peek at our Bitcoin chart, and you can see I'm on the free version of TradingView. These are not fancy tools. We're already seeing some recovery from Bitcoin. It's moving away from where it found support yesterday or where it bounced, or it was rejected at 15.8, right? That was the falling knife. I think the wick on that candle went all the way down to 15.6.
Ouch. We
were very, very close to, as far as mining Bitcoin, to that price of 8 cents. This is kind of the bare bones price to be able to mine Bitcoin here in the United States. Internationally, or in some markets where you can get cheaper power than 8 cents, maybe you can do better than that. But we got really close, really close to the edge there. So just kind of calling that out. This is why I've been saying that that is the correct price to be mining your Bitcoin. It's right at the top of that value buy range. Anything lower than that, we could frame it this way. That's a better time to be buying your Bitcoin than mining your Bitcoin.
Okay.
So yeah, anyway, that's why it's a data point that's included here on Mind Your Biz. Let's jump straight into the news, though. Well, yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried apologizes for the FTX liquidity crisis and says, I effed up twice. Well, everything's okay now, right?
Oh, he said he's sorry. Okay.
Right? He feels so bad. I mean, magically, $8 billion has been put back in your wallets. You're welcome. I think we can just end the stream right there.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, SBF Alameda. Yeah, SBF, he feels bad. The damage is repaired. I think that's how apologies work, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I think Mama Biz, I mean, she deals with getting people, young people to show genuine apologies and to figure out how to do this on a regular basis.
This is not a 5-point apology.
Let's talk about a 5-point apology.
Yes.
What is that?
A 5-point apology is where you don't just say, I'm sorry. You say, I'm sorry. It was wrong because ...
Well, yeah, it was wrong because fill in the blank, right?
Yes.
And then?
Oh my gosh. It's early. Okay. It was wrong because next time I will.
Okay. It was wrong because, and you tell them why it was wrong.
Yeah, you tell them next time I will do, and you explain how you will rectify it in the future so you don't repeat your mistake. Mm-hmm. Is there anything I can do to make it better?
So you engage that person in a conversation. A real apology is more than just you saying you're sorry?
Yeah.
Wow. So a real apology actually includes you or involves you, including the other person.
Yes. And lastly, will you forgive me? Oh,
there you go. You actually have to ask for it, right?
Okay. In all fairness, we're talking about something that's impossible to do on the internet. But
it's nearly impossible. Yeah. Unfortunately, the road to redemption is so much harder as soon as a person has been canceled. And I don't know that SBF has been canceled yet, but some people are pretty mad with him because, he's having FTX file for bankruptcy, and he's personally filing for bankruptcy because some of his own personal net worth is wrapped up in all of this, or the illusion of being a billionaire was wrapped up in all of this.
Right.
Now, there's some other people in the crypto space who are now billionaires who did so from fundraising and haven't been transparent about how they became billionaires. That's a conversation for another time, right? So proving that they're billionaires, but not wanting to talk about exactly who they had to fleece to obtain their billions of dollars. Maybe another time. But today, one crisis at a time, right? FTX. I effed up. And he admitted that he should have done better in providing transparency. I think he did a couple of the points of the 5-point apology, actually.
A few, yeah.
Yeah, and the Twitter thread, I think he tried to get a little bit more involved in his apology. But, admitting that he should have done better and then actually laying out a proper plan to have done better are two different things, right? He said that he was slammed with things to do and didn't give updates to you all. I don't know that giving people updates on Twitter would have is the same as taking people's money to the tune of hundreds of millions and trading with leverage without their knowledge, right? Like giving people updates versus doing the right thing. Very different. You got to give people updates, be willing to receive the criticism so that when you're discovered to be doing the wrong thing, you correct course. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like these are there's some primitives in human behavior that even at the highest level, right? Like, oh, well, I'm a billionaire crypto investor. You can still just do the right thing by doing the right thing. It really isn't rocket science.
Right.
It is either you have the funds or you don't, and you're trading with leverage, and it's risky.
Right.
Right. So risk on or risk off. What's it going to be? But they claimed that they were not risk on. They claimed they were doing unrisky things, right? That safer decisions. But we have some other headlines that come out of Crypto Potato, for example. SBF's apology is included in that is a vow to make customers whole. So restore the damage done to them financially.
Okay, that sounds like what can I do to make it better?
Yeah, a little bit, right? Another point in that 5-point apology. And he had a thread, right? A multi-part thread. He said the full story here is one I'm still fleshing out every detail of, but at a very high level, I effed up twice. The first time, a poor internal labeling of bank-related accounts meant that I was substantially off on my sense of users' margin. I thought it was way lower.
Oh.
Yeah, my sense before, leverage was 0x. U.S. liquidity ready to deliver 24 times the average daily withdrawals. So, I mean, there's still an admission that they didn't have enough to cover their full customers' positions, right? And that's part of using a centralized lending platform or having a centralized custodial platform hold your funds. Banks do it all the time.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'm like, this just sounds like a fiat nightmare.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's so similar.
But it's more the same, right?
Yeah.
Satoshi tried to warn us. And I'm not going to give credit to anybody else who now is an influencer. I can't take any kind of credit for publishing here on YouTube. Satoshi laid this out in the white paper and in the early communications and then bounced, said like, look, I don't need credit. I don't need glory. I don't need clicks and views. What I need is a sound monetary system that doesn't fail like it did in 2008 and leave people wrecked. Well, here we are again, not paying any attention, and people are wrecked by doing the same stuff, but instead of fiat, thinking that there's crypto backing the stuff or backing their position at the custodial institutions, right? So the actual was 1.7x liquidity or leverage with 0.8x Sunday's withdrawals. Now, oh shoot. I did not mean to open that up, but here we are. Okay, the actual thread, straight from the horse's mouth. Because, of course, when it rains, it pours. We saw roughly $5 billion of withdrawals on Sunday, the largest by a huge margin. Now, I mean, yeah, there was a run on FTX. I was off twice. Well, yeah, but I think as a holder of people's funds, you need to plan for that time when people run for their money. And unfortunately, it was only the biggest institutions that were able to do it. They were able to put in those orders, and a lot of their orders have been locked up. Like the withdrawals from some other major groups, they've been frozen because FTX had to shut them down. Like, all right, well, we have to prioritize. If everybody wants all of the money we have to prioritize. Also, it's a practical consideration, just like banks. You can't the fact that it's backed with crypto doesn't mean you can magically just do it some other way. It's all really frustrating, right? And I'm sorry, Sound Money fixes this. Why do you think the Mind Your Biz logo includes Bitcoin at its core? Why is that part of our cultural and our brand identity? Because of this. Sound money matters. And no, not ultrasound money like how Ethereum started to rebrand. And no, not rehypothecated nonsense. Not all this like lend and lend and lend and get leverage and continue to like dig a deeper hole. Sound money. Having a core value at the base of what you hold. Dollars don't do it, and even precious metals are not as performant, right, as some of these other sound cryptos. So anyway, Bitcoin is an extremely important part of it. Bitcoin doesn't fix everything, but Bitcoin does fix this. It really does. The whole like maxi joke about Bitcoin fixes this. Yeah, it does sometimes. So gotta give credit where it's due. I see our additional viewers in here and additional chats coming through. Barry Merritt says Medium is reporting El Salvador lost all their Bitcoin on FTX.
No.
Well, Medium is a self-publishing platform, so we'll have to read up on that and see what happened. Oh my gosh. Witcher Work says El Salvador was set up from the beginning. Who the heck uses Bitcoin for everyday purchases? We're going to live search for this, folks. We're doing it. We're doing it live. El Salvador Bitcoin FTX. I'm dreading what we're going to find here.
I didn't even see that in the newsfeed this morning.
Oh, no. Well, 5 days ago, apparently, tied his country fortune digital token. Isn't much to sign. Well, I'm not seeing anything else. Here's the thing, though. Brave search has definitely failed as far as any of the recent news. I think it's just a little too close to home. I think that they do not have incentive to return search results on that topic. So let's go over to DuckDuckGo, El Salvador, Bitcoin, FTX. We're going to have those search terms there. How El Salvador lost all Bitcoins. Crypto Hub. I don't know. Novogratz doubts El Salvador Bitcoin were on FTX. Yeah, this is a rumor as of today, but the Crypto Basic, an actual crypto publication, brings that forward And also, Watcher Guru confirms that Nayib Bukele is going on record as saying that they have no Bitcoin in FTX right now. Hey, really quickly, if you're here live, go ahead and smash that like button, share the link while we're live. We have definitely been struggling since we got to the new home for Mind Your Biz, and we know there are some reasons for that, but you are not one of them. You, dear viewer, you, dear audience, are our major support and the reason that we publish in the first place. If you can share the link, it definitely helps. Appreciate that very much. So El Salvador, yeah, if Nayib Bukele is saying that they don't have any Bitcoin on FTX and they never have, I don't know what to make of any additional rumors. So again, remember that Medium is a free self-publishing blog platform. That's what it is. So it's like Blogger or WordPress. It is not like it could be on Medium that's published by some internet troll from anywhere, right? So anybody can sign up for one, anyone can publish there, and that's it's fine. I'm not saying that the main media outlets are the perfect custodians or perfect arbiters of truth. They don't always know everything all the time, but they do have some publishing standards. And here on Medium, there aren't any. And on Mind Your Biz, we would rather try to confirm wherever possible. So Mike Novogratz, Galaxy Digital. I mean, Mike Novogratz is not totally whole on all of this, right? And Galaxy Digital has had some issues with trying to withdraw their holdings from FTX. They're caught just like everybody else in the liquidity crunch, in the liquidity freeze. So bit of an issue there. But yeah, he, let's see. Oh, he was the, what? Okay. Oh, yeah. So he brought it up. And, okay, let's see. It aired claims on crypto Twitter, noting that El Salvador Bitcoin holdings were on the embattled FTX. That's funny that he first... Wait, this is not... Wait. So he's talking out of both sides of the face here. All right. So apparently he made the comment on CNBC. I read, I don't know if it's true, that El Salvadorian government's crypto was on FTX. They're calling for the extradition of Sam. I don't think about that. But yeah, there you go. They had 76 million on FTX, and there you go. 47 million of the funds were in the withdrawal process. But what that means is it's frozen. They don't have access to more than half of what they deposited on FTX right now. So, bam. CZ talks to Nayib Bukele. Binance CEO talks to the El Salvadorian president, Nayib Bukele, to confirm the situation. Bukele dismisses Novogratz's doubts, saying that El Salvador has no Bitcoin in FTX, nor did any business with them. There you go. And CZ says, man, the amount of misinformation is insane. I exchanged messages with the president, Nayib, a few moments ago. He said, we don't have any Bitcoin in FTX, and we never had any business with them. Thank God. And, I would have to echo that sentiment. Thank you for bringing that up. It's a relevant question to ask, and we need to be careful about where we source that information. Because right now, we're in the midst of all kinds of disinformation, including from SBF himself. So, Mama Biz, did you know that when all this began, it sort of was instigated by the CEO of Binance, CZ, essentially kind of...
A little tweet, right?
Yeah. It kind of, the cascade downward started with a tweet. The fact that it didn't have people's funds started well before that. But the public sort of scrutiny of FTX and SBF himself, right, Sam Bankman-Fried, started with Binance CEO, CZ, saying, so I wonder what's going on over there. We're thinking that we need to de-risk our position. We're going to start divesting some of our FTT tokens, the governance token for FTX. And SBF sort of says, oh, yeah, well, two can play at that game. We're going to start dumping our BNB tokens, your governance token. It got weird, but he kind of got all puffed up and, he went on the counteroffensive. But
because it was like, it started with SBF saying like, oh, there's an entity that's trying to harm us with misinformation. And then Binance was like, yeah, there's an entity that's trying to harm us with lobbying.
Yeah, there's a bit of an issue both ways, but the biggest issue has to do with now, again, FTX being insolvent, not having what they claimed that they had. So that's been proven absolutely true. And moving on through some of the news articles, we took a look at the Crypto Potato and SBF's tweet, which is I mean, I don't know that I take the same takeaways from this as Crypto Potato does. They say he took full responsibility for what transpired, said his team is now focused on doing everything we can to raise liquidity. That's true. They're doing everything they possibly can to try to get anybody else to pay down the debt. Of course, they've got angry customers and they've got regulators saying, we want to look into that.
Which is actually more problematic.
Yes, 100%. Because FTX is not a North American exchange.
Really?
Correct. They're international. They've got an American division called FTX.US. And apparently, if things are to be believed, if SBF is to be believed, well, that exchange is fully solvent. It does have full backing. Everything there is working fine.
Huh.
And that hasn't been tested yet. I don't know if there's been a run on FTX.US, but I mean, if we had any holdings there, they'd be gone like today. We would not be waiting around to see how liquid their reserves are. So anyway, it's an absolute poop storm, and this is just another turd flying around in that poop storm. We already had 100-mile-per-hour winds. This is just another turd.
That's some very vivid imagery, Hen.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. I've been told that I should be on YouTube or I should be on camera every day, but who knows? Maybe that's just maybe it's not true. If the company manages to make users whole, it will aim to do the same for investors and employees. However, SBF asserted that he cannot and does not make any promises they will succeed. Well, yeah, there you go. Way to start telling the truth now. He noted that his other brainchild, Alameda Research, will stop trading crypto one way or another. Yeah, we know. You might be forced by a court to stop trading crypto. You yourself might go to jail. There could be a lot of ways that happens. I'd be very careful about talking that way. FTX began having liquidity issues after Binance said it will dispose of its entire FTT's token stash after some discrepancies with Alameda's balance sheet. Well, yeah, and there's a bit of a timeline. Don't want to go through that too much more, but El Salvador, FUD, and all of that, FUD. I see Crypto Mikkel in the chat saying, FA, much love mining fam, and I see Barry Merritt also chiming in saying, Simon Dixon would know. FTX is in Hong Kong, specifically. There you go. Yep. It's not in mainland China, also, which is important to acknowledge. They are very different locations, and that's helpful and instructive to know. Let's see. And Barry says the Medium article, Witcherwork says, Seth, I think people do not see the real usage for Bitcoin. I believe it's for the new infrastructure of AI and robotics that they will use for payment. Anything that could be used for good is flipped. That's unfortunately sometimes true. Yeah, sometimes it is accurate that things that start out good are then tainted after the fact. I don't believe that that's the future for Bitcoin. I believe that's the present timeline. And I think we've seen the same thing happen from Mt. Gox, well in Bitcoin's history, up through to today. Right? We've got about a decade now of third-party interference and custodial platform problems. So Mt. Gox, fast forward to the current liquidity crunches. These are the last year has been as devastating to the Bitcoin industry and to the cryptocurrency industry as Mt. Gox was back then. Making investors whole, that could be drawn out. We could have a bankruptcy executor or bankruptcy trustee basically dole out little bits of Bitcoin or little tranches of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies for years now. We might not see the end of this for quite some time. And the only way to be free of that is to hold your own coins. Period. End of story. Moving on, because we have so much news to get through. U.S. regulators are definitely, well, they're interested in what's going on now. And we'll talk about very quickly Gensler and how he's leaning into all of this and already discussing how he wants to try to regulate the life out of this industry. And so Gary Gensler says, frankly, at this time, crypto is more like the Wild West or the old world of buyer beware that existed before the securities laws were enacted. This asset class is rife with fraud, scams, and abuse in certain applications.
I know. I mean, what's happened here is nothing like anything any banks have ever done.
Right. Yeah. And definitely the SEC has never approved anything that is fraud, scam, or abuse. Right? They wouldn't do that. They would protect us, wouldn't they?
We're the government. and we're here to help.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, dang, rest in peace, Ronald Reagan. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. But that was a Ronald Reagan quote, BT dubs. So, yeah, I mean, the SEC totally approved Enron. The SEC totally, they knew who Bernie Madoff was. Mm-hmm. He was a person who was approved, had his FINRA certifications, and went through all of the legal and regulatory hoops to gain public trust.
Yeah, and even today, what Bernie Madoff did dwarfs what we're seeing in the crypto markets.
Oh yeah,
his I mean, I think it was 500 billion, wasn't it? With Bernie Madoff, it was a lot of money.
Let's go ahead and get the exact figures, because off the top of my head, I don't know if it was actually $500 billion, $500 billion Ponzi scheme, but normally I wouldn't go to Wikipedia, but we're doing it, okay? His age is 82, first off. Hey, all readers in Canada. Why do you think I'm in Canada? No reason. Don't worry about it. But yeah, his Ponzi scheme, there you go, 65 billion from client accounts. Apparently the trustee estimated the losses to be about $18 billion.
Okay, so I'm wrong.
No, it's okay. Here's the thing. We need to know. We need to know. The numbers kind of matter. It's still, I mean, they still total about $65 billion is the count. There you go.
That was in what year?
That was in 2008.
So how does that reflect with current inflation? Anyway, we don't have to go too deep into that, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
no, it's a fair
the point being, in the traditional systems, this has already happened. And this is what happens when we try to treat crypto like behave like we should with fiat banks. Like it just defies the whole purpose of why crypto, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it totally messes things up. So let's see. Richard Work says, I appreciate your opinion, bro. You're a real one. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for the support. Definitely, you're the reason we make this media. So appreciate you being here and making it really great. We do the live show precisely because your input helps to shape the content. We try to keep it real. There are plenty of people who just cherry pick some of the articles and will tell you what they want you to see, or will get high on hopium and say, like, my favorite coin is going to be profitable for the next little while. Secretly, they're whatever, an advisor, or like have super heavy bags, or they just happen to be mining it. And going back to the crypto mining, the genesis of this new of our channel, they'll just tell you that, like, oh, this will definitely be profitable for this amount of time, and they don't ever take into account historical market cycles. Or this kind of thing, black swan events. You have to plan for some of this stuff. Taking profits is good business. If you never pay yourself and you never take profits, it's entirely possible to run $1 billion business and be broke, just at a higher level. So appreciate you making that comment. And yeah, appreciate you being here. So yeah, that's Bernie Madoff in a nutshell, and how that compares. We're getting there, right? It's like all these groups keep on trying to, it's like they're saying, Bernie Madoff, 65 million, challenge accepted. Let's see if we can hit that mark. People are crazy. So yeah, Alameda will stop trading crypto, and the block reports on that as well. We already got that quote from him. Binance's non-binding agreement leaves the future for FTX highly uncertain. So something that people need to be aware of is that there was a non-binding letter of intent, right? An LOI. And I love that there are a bunch of crypto commentators who are just learning about some of these terms like LOI and MOU and all the other business terms that, if you've actually got a background in business and in consulting, anyway, I'm not going to lecture you. Point is, there's a letter of intent still kind of out in the wind, right? And Binance has the ability to pursue that and continue to either contribute or investigate more, do additional due diligence, or not. But they have access. That's the point. When you talk about, say, like an executor going, or a trustee for bankruptcy coming in and going through the discovery phase of bankruptcy, when it comes to that. In the meantime, Binance has all this leeway to kind of lean in, peek at the books, and they've got the option to be really responsible about it or not. So Binance kind of does have the hammer that can pound in that last nail in FTX's coffin. So as far as, corporate power plays and Game of Thrones or whatever, I mean, dang, it's never been better to be Binance and to be CZ at Binance. Like, on the one hand, they can publicly say, this is just terrible, and we hate to see a competitor go out of business because it harms the industry, and that's true. But I mean, if you're the last one standing and you can manage to stay in business, you still win. It's not even about the dollar figure. It's about your slice of the pie. So don't be confused, Mind Your Biz audience, Mind Your Biz community. I said this over on Around the Blockchain months ago when FTX, was it a couple of months ago? When FTX and when Sam Bankman-Fried offered to bail out some of the other groups that were facing insolvency. I said then, this is not out of the goodness of his heart. These people are not altruistic at all in some of these big public decisions. This is very much about winning hearts and minds from retail, so you trust them and you go use their crappy platform. Now, did I just call Binance a crappy platform? I'm calling centralized exchanges crappy platforms. They're just a bad idea. They're just a bad idea. So anybody who's trying to win your sympathy or your trust, they were so nice, step in and try to bail those people out. No, they're trying to buy your toxic debt and win your confidence. That's it. So get out of toxic debt, especially in crypto.
Potter isn't buying, he's selling. No.
Whoa.
Selling, he's buying. What was the phrase from? I'm just totally
I don't remember. Yeah, from It's a Wonderful Life.
Potter isn't selling, he's buying.
Yeah, hey,
that's what it was. I had it mixed up. Potter isn't selling, he's buying. But that's from Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life. But that whole moment when there's a run on the bank, and then of course there's a run on their little loan office, and our hero has to jump up and talk the people down and like make them believe like this guy isn't here to like to help you. He's here to buy you cheap and then own you.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, so I got some comments from somebody named Aussie Crypto. Let's see. There's always somebody. There's always someone. So I did allow for comments from just anyone on this particular live stream. So hey, brilliant questions. Brilliant questions. Do I have a background in business? Yes, I do. Do I have a background in finance? Nope, I do not have FINRA certifications. That's I'll be the first to admit it, and I'll be the first to admit that I know why they're important. And previously did have a community manager that did have FINRA certifications, Series 65, and some others. So I'm willing to bet you, like all the rest of the YouTube fraudsters, have zero financial education. Cool. You can think what you want, and I can say what I want to that. What I will say is that you don't see links to FTX on any of my videos. So, and you never have. And you can use the Wayback Machine to check that. So no links to FTX. At one point, I did use links to Coinbase. So let me come clean. This is an important moment to have. And I appreciate that you're expressing concern and doubt. It's the right approach when we look at the current situation in the markets. But here's the thing. You are making comments from the cheap seats, and you can claim that you mined in 2010. There's no on-chain validation of that. So we can have a war of words. That's the one issue with the current situation in the markets, is that there are plenty of people having last words battles. So I'm not going to engage in that. But I do appreciate that your first response is skepticism. I think that's appropriate. I think it's totally appropriate. And yeah, I'm on your biz. It is important to make that time for the community. And yeah, anyone who's asking questions. So yeah, even if it's a little bit critical, I don't view this as a trolling comment, but I do view it as critical thinking. So do appreciate that. All right, jumping back in. So yeah, looking at some of the current situation, though, it is true that Binance having a letter of intent still open, and Binance still in that position where they can peer in and do sort of like an unofficial discovery phase with FTX. That might be, yeah, they might be able to cause some real damage down the line. We'll see. We'll see what they choose to do with that power. In related news, well, since we're talking about all things FTX this morning, this is the main event, Mama Biz. FTX approached Kraken for a potential rescue deal, according to Axios. But it's really that simple. They're approaching everybody. They're doing everything they can to try to get that bailout. And according to SBF's tweet storm, to try to make customers whole and make investors whole. They're going to do everything they can. They're going to talk to every single group possible. I should mention, after talking about like some of today's stream, right, that it is important for you to frame everything that I do mention on YouTube as not being financial advice. Here's the thing. I could have my Series 65 FINRA cert. I could have my Series 7. I could be fully qualified here in the United States to give you financial advice. And even if that were true, that wouldn't make this live stream official financial advice. You haven't paid me. We don't have a professional relationship. I'm just another guy with a webcam and a microphone, and his best gal chiming in as assisting with commentary on markets. So you need to frame that in your mind as well. Anybody you see just streaming online, you got to pay attention to whether or not, A, they have qualifications, and B, you have a professional relationship with them that characterizes their advice to you as financial advice, right? Or attempting to sell an unregistered security. I'm very cautious about endorsing crypto projects or ever using that kind of language. But I just want to make that clear as well, right? When it comes down to the legal definition of what is your responsibility when you hear somebody say something versus their responsibility and accountability when you hear somebody just say something online. With that in mind, that's why we use the red screen. That's why I run the disclaimer. That's why I talk about you doing your own research and taking accountability for your own choices, including the choice to get wrecked. We've been saying for months, get your crypto off exchange, take profits. Just because that just seems like common sense. It just seems like common sense. It doesn't seem like financial advice that I would need a certification to practice in my own life, and that you would need a professional relationship to just listen to and say, I should probably take profits and not leave my crypto in the hands of other people.
Or I should do my research on that.
Yeah. All right. Not rocket science. Anyway, throwing it out there. But FTX are approaching everybody that can potentially help them. The one problem, Ms. Mind Your Biz, the Kraken founder doesn't really seem to appreciate this. What did he say about this?
In rage, let's see. Sociopathic behavior. I'm really trying to control my rage.
Really trying to control his rage. Jesse Powell, the co-founder and former CEO of crypto exchange Kraken, found time to comment. I love the way they framed that too. He found time. All this time that they've got. He was twiddling his thumbs like, all this time. All this free time. But apparently commented on the alleged actions of Samuel Bankman-Fried, co-founder and CEO of crypto exchange. Now, here's the thing. We have found other people in the cryptocurrency ecosystem who go around and do these little witch hunts, right? Where they're like, I can't believe this guy. Look at them. And I love the comment in the chat here. Look at them. And, we're not paying attention to what the other hand is doing. There are plenty of these types. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to muddy the waters. Today's live stream is primarily focused on FTX because that's the current hot topic. We will talk about other things in the future. So hit that subscribe button, click the bell, be notified when new media goes live. You don't want to miss. Right now, we've got a lot of things happening. So pay attention. We're one of the only crypto channels that has a Bitcoin only device, right? In the foundation devices, Passport 2. So we are actively doing hardware reviews. We are actively paying attention to just the ways that you could custody your own crypto. But these kinds of characters, they come out of the woodwork every now and then, right? Going to public conferences and trying to call out fake Toshi, trying to basically point attention at other bad actors to hide their own bad behavior. Or, again, to tell you two truths and a lie, right? To tell you a couple things and then a lie. Let's see. So Barry Merritt chimes in the chat, says, I took classes in Gap insurance and Series 7, but never took the tests. I was an SQL programmer. That's the other thing, right? It's okay to actually contribute real value other than trying to interpret the law or go and kibitz people about whether or not they should take certain investments. There are plenty of people who will try to go become qualified to manage your money, and then they'll go follow people like Bernie Madoff right off a cliff with your money. So again, SEC also has no problem taking a Series 7 very seriously. Bernie Madoff had all the qualifications. Every single one. Jumped through all the hoops. Still was totally an unsafe person to invest your money with. those are just the facts. That's just history. So yeah, same with plenty of attorneys. I've met plenty of attorneys who know nothing about cryptocurrency. I've been approached by plenty of attorneys recently, actually, who were trying to claw back funds because they happened to be the trustee in a bankruptcy case, and they had no clue what was going on. Generally speaking, these are things that you have to deal with, right? Do your own research. Don't be lazy and tell other people that they have to go and trust a professional. Even if they do have the credentials, you still have to check their work. They can be very bad at research, or they can be very bad at math, and they can go and follow some of the most foolish people in the industry and lose all your money for you. Anyway, rant over. Taking that a little bit too personally, because I just found too many people who are way too confident in the value of their certification as opposed to the value of common sense. So take it with a grain of salt. Just another idiot with a mic and a webcam on YouTube. But yeah, the Kraken CEO is not very happy with SBF. We'll leave that at that. Bitcoin, changing topics. We still have a couple other items on the list. Bitcoin news. We'll be brief on some of the other stuff because FTX is the main event. But it adds $15 billion in value in 15 minutes as the CPI data came in lower than people expected. 7.7% on CPI versus 7.9. So that's still over 7% in October in a month. I don't know if this is actually something that people should be celebrating, right? The new inflation data demonstrates a drop below 8% for the first time in 7 months, and the smallest increase since January 2022. Like, I mean, I get it. We're excited that CPI is not higher than what people were expecting, or not as high as the recent trend. But the bottom line is still that there's massive inflation, and CPI is way higher than previous years, and wages aren't increasing, and people are really suffering. What are we celebrating again?
I don't know. It's kind of like when, the gas prices leapt up and then they came down like, oh, look, they're down like 30 cents after like $2 had been added, to the price of gasoline. And it's like, oh, but it came down a little bit. Isn't that great? Yay.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like, oh, look what we, your benevolent dictators, have handed you. A percentage of a percentage, a fraction of a fraction, less inflation. You're still inflated out of your ability to buy basic necessities like groceries and gas. But we, your benevolent overlords, have allowed this. I'm so tired of this timeline. I sincerely wish that we did have like multiversal travel and we could just, go somewhere else for a couple of years. Just wait for Bitcoin to run up again. Seriously, when time travel, when multiverse travel, because I'm all in, right? I'll be all in. All our cryptocurrency holdings will go to that. But apparently, yes, the crypto market immediately started to recover. And I mean, the chart does look exciting. It really does, right? That popped back up yesterday as those numbers came in. And, seeing we have these informally as our mining chopsticks. Again, we have this chart so that we understand what Bitcoin has done. I don't make price predictions on what Bitcoin will do. I can't even pretend, right? There's no way to know. Nobody's crystal ball is that accurate. And I mean, we follow some people and we know some people who are pretty legit chartists, right? And pretty legit technicians. And even their charts, I take with a grain of salt. Because, I mean, the charts only tell you what the past has done. So it is exciting to see that it's played out that way and that the market got excited, right? So that's cool. Adding a lot of value to the market cap is probably a good thing. Framed another way, it surged 6% in minutes. And a lot of people are trying to figure out why. Well, the bottom line is that CPI came in a little bit lower than the percentage raise, a little bit lower than people expected. I ain't celebrating. I'm still like, okay, cool. It's a good trend, but it needs to hold. We need to see that CPI is continuing to decrease. Otherwise, what are we celebrating? Right? Like, curb your enthusiasm. There you go. Great show too. But curb your enthusiasm. That is my personal takeaway from those news articles. Gensler has been emboldened by all this. What's the latest headline, Mama Biz?
Oh, be careful. Beware.
be careful, beware. What does that mean? Give us the quick take here.
Well, okay. Building the evidence, building the facts often takes time, Gensler said when pressed during an interview with CNBC over why the agency pursued actions against celebrity endorsers of tokens like Kim Kardashian. Gensler would not go into the specifics of FTX's failures, citing an ongoing investigation.
All right. Awesome. Hey, so is there genuinely an echo in our audio right now? Because I did not intend for there to be echo. If we do have echo, that's probably because the two microphones are out of phase, or because you are hearing one piece of our audio sidechain kind of like mess up the sync between these two microphones. We don't have a whole lot of isolation going on. We could probably adjust that a little bit down the line, but I apologize if there's any kind of audio echo right now. We'll listen back later on and see if we can troubleshoot that. Thank you for the feedback. Barry Merritt says, this channel focuses on crypto mining. Yeah, that's primarily what we focus on. It's one of those things that it's a pure business, right? You can make a financial model, or you can make a projection, and you can come up with some kind of a business plan. And Crypto Mikkel, yeah, this channel focuses on mining a tad. He's right. We're not as intensely focused on crypto mining as we were when we started, but this is the right time for us to lean into it, right? Like you've heard me say for a while, just be mindful of the prices of the means of production. And it's just about that time. We're seeing a really great inflection point where, yeah, CPI is flipping the other way around, but we've seen CPI increase. We've seen the price of basic goods and services for the average retail participant go up over the last year. But technology has either flatlined or gone down. For a crypto miner, those are the means of production. And so while it looks like the profits are lean right now, it may also be the best possible time to make your money work for you in acquiring the means of production. Again, like, you have to look at this for yourself, figure out exactly which equipment you want to get, and run all those calculations. I've stopped publishing any kind of spreadsheets that talk about the relative mining performance of different hardware profiles and the relative prices. It was a lot of work and wound up not being just wind up not being worth it. I got a lot of headache. Had a lot of people that still just kind of jumped in to tell me, nope, you're wrong about everything. You're wrong about this. You're wrong about that. And also, you're an idiot and you're ugly. And get off YouTube. Like, everyone's got an opinion, right? So there you go. Hey, we got a comment in the chat. I sincerely hope that that's true, that your first exposure to Bitcoin was $7. Seriously, round of applause for anybody that has diamond-handed their Bitcoin from that time. I mean, hey, apparently one of the big news article recently is that one of the people who helped, who siphoned some of the Bitcoin off of Silk Road gave it back and diamond-handed it from about that same price point as well. So hopefully nobody in a position of authority decides that because you've got a Bitcoin that is that vintage, that you're somehow wrapped up in criminal behavior. I really, the little chat, go do a thumbs up, do some hands up, and one like equals one prayer for that commenter, because that would be really bad if they just decide that everything that is that age is somehow linked to like Silk Road or criminal behavior. So yeah, the 3070s are only mining Caspa right now. It's very efficient, says Gordon Murray. Yeah, Caspa is a bit it's in the money right now by way of profitability. And I've said very publicly when I've been on the mining live streams with other mining content creators that I just have rigs turned off. I only turn them on for speculative mining because in my mind right now, acquiring certain speculative assets, which I don't ever talk about publicly at this point because it's a liability. I mean, absolutely. That's where the alpha is. But that's an old playbook. It's as old as the first altcoins, right? Mining for something that is a day zero launch or a day one launch or a week zero launch, getting a few coins and then just sitting on them. But don't go invest like hundreds or thousands of dollars in electricity costs acquiring those coins. Then leave them alone until the next bull run. Maybe something happens, maybe doesn't. Keep your expectations low and rinse, repeat. You can do that every single time that there's a brand new coin drop in proof of work. And with proof of stake, you wind up having to shell out of your pocket. The validator quorums are, they're iffy at best. You got issues like Solana, and you got issues like a bunch of other stuff. Let's see. Yeah. Barry Merritt says, my GPUs are boxed and shelved down. Yeah. Some of my GPUs are just shelved. They're not boxed. I should probably be a little better about preventing dust accumulation, but whatever. I like keeping them handy in case I want to deploy them for a quick build. So just back on the shelves, which I have behind the green screen. Can't see it. All right. So, yeah, as far as the rest of the article here, building the evidence, building the facts often takes time, says Gensler. That's not his real voice. I should probably learn how to do a Gensler voice.
I don't even know what he sounds like.
He doesn't have a very distinct voice. He would make a very interesting Bond villain. I'll put it that way. He's just kind of bleh. He's
more like the villain's like right-hand man.
Kind of. Yeah. Because he's absolutely a bean counter and the yes man and blends in. He's sort of professional tofu. You can throw him into anything and he just sort of blends in. Becomes mushy after a little while. Just saying. But as far as a voice goes, if you wanted to make a cartoon about Gary Gensler's life, it'd be really hard to be like, oh, that's Gensler's voice. Oh, I can tell it's him. You just can't. He's not an interesting character by way of character study. So yeah, building the evidence, building the facts often takes time. I'm going to start giving him an old school 1920 bankers vibe. Do that. But yeah, apparently, yeah, wouldn't go into the specifics of FTX's failure, citing an ongoing investigation. This is like 1980s cop movie level nonsense. Well, a certain individual did a thing. We're still gathering all the facts, ma'am. Sorry, can't comment. But definitely somebody did the crimes. Crimes have been done. Give me a break. Okay. Calm down, Gensler, but there's more. Wait. Sorry, this is now the live stream infomercial for the SEC. Gary Gensler, crypto companies, you've been warned. So give us some of the brief points here, Mama Biz.
U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler told Squawk Box that the recent FTX collapse was part of a pattern. He said that these companies consistently borrow against customer funds to further invest without proper disclosure. The SEC, oh wait, I can't read it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. The SEC chair laid out 3 paths the regulator is taking to protect consumers from the risks of crypto firms.
Ooh, I wonder if any of this has any real merit. Yeah. Well, we'll find out soon enough. But HP asks the question in the chat, is DeFi the answer to all this drama with FTX? How can we identify bad actors in DeFi? It's a pretty great question, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in DeFi, it's tough because in DeFi, if you choose to participate, I will say I kind of agree with the sentiment that code is law because you've made yourself subject to the code. I think legally there's precedent to prove that the code is speech, right? Code is not law, right? Like lawmakers are law, right? And I hate to flash Gensler's face there because they're actually a criminal investigation organization. They don't actually create the laws. They can propose them, but they don't create them, right? Congress makes laws. Just whoa. That's how it's supposed to run. Congress makes laws. The president doesn't just give executive decrees like a monarch. They're not supposed to, but there is supposed to be a process in this country, and code isn't part of that process. It's not. Yeah, so it's speech. That's how it's been ruled on in the past, is that code is speech. If you choose to participate in DeFi, you're making yourself subject to their rules based on those smart contracts. It's really important to know that there are audits done of any smart contracts that you're going to interact with and that you can understand the results. There are smart contract auditing firms that have failed in terms of just presenting what they found and making it obvious what they mean by saying, oh, well, there was this critical bug, or there was, we didn't find any critical bugs or anything. Well, cool, you didn't find any bugs, but what does it do? Can you describe it in layman's terms? What does that smart contract do? Is there any way to remotely burn or mint the contents of people's wallets if they've interacted with that smart contract and haven't revoked permissions from that smart contract? Is there any way to do anything that people would view as, bad, right? Like, it doesn't matter if the smart contract has a bug or not. It can do exactly what it's supposed to do and mess you up, right, as an investor. So that's the next frontier of figuring out, are these people bad actors? Is understanding the smart contracts that will automatically govern, right? Day and night, 24/7, running on these smart contract networks, just figuring out, could it harm me? And that's a lot easier said than done. I mean, so currently, like disclosure, I work full time for a group called Viral Nation, and I work internally in Web3, right? And I don't do the vetting of our projects, but I work with the person who does all the vetting of those projects. And it's really difficult to have hundreds of projects thrown at you and try to look through all of the publicly available audit information and figure out, okay, now can we go and validate what these auditing firms have said? And then look through some of the basics of the smart contracts. Well, you would need somebody who understands most of the time the programming language of Ethereum, Solidity, or some of the other programming languages that are used to create these smart contracts, and understand how to filter through and then possibly even do some test transactions through it. It takes a lot of time, is what I'm saying. So for the speculative investor who has a retail budget, it's basically not feasible to go through all those smart contracts and then find out, okay, I saw 15 hot projects this year. Maybe 15 you could, right? Taking them one a month, every weekend. Audit through those smart contracts if you had the skill to do it, or if you knew somebody who had the skill to do it. It's pretty tricky to figure out how to do that. So appreciate that question. Definitely important. And yeah, it's harder to find that out. But you've got people who have budgets like the SEC has, and they can't manage to find somebody who just figures out what the smart contract does. Really? But then they want to go say, oh, I'm warning you, crypto companies. Well, why don't you try helping them by giving them regulatory clarity on what these smart contracts should do and shouldn't do, and whether or not they can do certain things? It would be pretty tough, right? Be pretty tough to figure out how to enter this market without that. Let's see. HP asks, can you list some of the most reputable auditors in the space? Well, you have some auditors that have fallen from grace, right? You have your I'm totally drawing blank in part because I'm staring at bright lights. So some of the auditors that I've seen, oh my gosh, I am drawing blank. I don't like listing the names of auditors also, because it is kind of like, yeah, no, HP, you're right. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Most people can't name the top firms. What I will say is that it's very common, at least it was common 2 years ago, to have most crypto projects say, oh, we were audited by Hacken. We're okay. Group called Hacken. But Hacken today, in 2022, leading into 2023, is not the same Hacken of 2020. So they've been spread totally thin. It's harder for them to get through just basic QC tests and then also do, an in-depth audit. And they've had a couple of projects that they have audited and said we're okay, wind up not being okay. Or, again, having the smart contract work exactly as it was supposed to, but having the leadership be fraud, be scammers and fraudulent, commit fraudulent acts. So it's hard to know for sure that you're going to get what you need from an auditing firm. But yeah, we've kind of been beating a dead horse there. Gensler continues to say that current crypto legislation undermines the SEC. I disagree with this totally. I don't think that it undermines the SEC. I think that we're still allowing for long-term discovery of what can work and what should work and what doesn't work. And yeah, this is a growing pain, and much the same way that we had growing pains in the .com era. Yeah, it was absolutely a bubble that burst, but there were some groups that came out of that had real business models that were sustainable. So had there been too tight a regulation around the .com era of investing in the 1990s, then I don't think we would have been able to discover which products were actually worth investing in and worth building up with investment capital. So there you go. Because Congress looks at this field, as Congress thinks about it, it's really important here not to undermine our $100 trillion capital markets. Well, considering that the entire crypto market cap is, again, one fraction of that, like it has dipped into $2 trillion or $3 trillion territory exactly once, I don't think there's any risk of cryptocurrency markets completely destabilizing the $100 trillion capital markets just yet, right? It could go there. But these are scare tactics, right, that are pretty intense. So, I just don't know that I agree. He says the FTX collapse is part of a pattern in crypto markets. Well, yeah, there is a pattern in crypto markets. Dumb. Like we've seen this 3 times in 2022, and we didn't need, Gary to tell us this. Like it's plain as day. I mean, we're all reading the same headlines, Gary, at clearly the same speed that you are. Like, okay, cool. Like very, very cool. Awesome. The sky is blue, Gary. Water is wet. Can we, what? Huh? All right. Go do something useful with all that taxpayer money that you and your department are paid. SEC is investigating Binance and Coinbase after the FTX implosion. There's the thing. Binance is not a U.S. company. Coinbase has been leaning in, begging the SEC for regulatory clarity for years. You're investigating? Why didn't you just give the regulatory clarity when they asked and when they told you they were willing to play your game and play ball? Like, seriously? I don't even understand. The headline is enough to just throw that out there, right? Moving on to some of the Tether FUD. Apparently, FTX has $46 million worth of Tether, and Tether has frozen that $46 million. Mama Biz, why would they do that?
Oh, same reason everyone else is freezing everything. There's a run.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a run.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's a little bit messed up for them to do that when FTX is trying to make investors whole, but I think there's also a very real risk of FTX having some misappropriation of their funds right now during that run, and apparently Tether doesn't want to have to claw it back. Very hard to do, but they can freeze those Tether funds mid-flight, right before they go anywhere. So, but that's what's going on there. Let's take a look at the stablecoin market really fast. We've got a portfolio here on the Mind Your Biz portfolio. We've been tracking the fluctuations in stablecoins for quite some time. And Tether, of course, is at the top of the stack by way of market cap. And you've heard me say it for quite some time that Tether is used because it's useful. Not used because it's stable, not used because it's trustworthy. It's used because it's useful, right? In the same way that fiat currency is very useful. We know it's subject to inflation and serious problems, but it's pretty darn useful to pull out a $20 bill anywhere you are in the world, a US $20 bill, almost anywhere in the world, and have a market somewhere say, oh, that's $20 US cash. I'll accept that, right? Very useful indeed. So Tether is used because it's useful. People have been fudding the heck out of it lately, saying, oh, it's lost its peg. Well, at least on CoinGecko, it is listed as having held its peg. It was a little bit lower earlier on. And I did put a position into our holdings here, our paper tracker of $1,000 from May of last year. Currently, that would have shown a current holding of about $1,009 equivalent because it was a little bit lower than $1 back at that point. It does have those fluctuations. And we could do the same for every single one of these holdings here. So very briefly, part of the reason that we did this portfolio was because of the USDD algorithmic stablecoin that was launched by Tron. And I wanted to keep eyes on it. I wanted the Mind Your Biz community to keep eyes on this. How long ago? Months ago. So just keeping the receipt on that. Same with some of the other fractionally reserved algorithmically generated stablecoins. You got DAI that has its own reserve, a collateralized debt position with about $5.5 billion worth. It's one of those coins that I've unfortunately I have trusted for some time, but it's hard to know any of these assets whether or not they're as trustworthy as they say. And with the recent Tether FUD, I just wanted to keep eyes on this. But I will call out USDD, current market cap of just under $1 billion, but that's been changing, right? It was a bit closer to exactly $750 million before. Well, where's that market cap going? Well, I think maybe it's starting to disappear because of Justin Sun buying $1 billion worth of Tether and very likely beginning to sunset this little, I guess pun intended. There you go. Really, Justin Sun. He's sunsetting his own stablecoin this was a way to prop up the value of Tron, a way to conserve some of his own net worth, which is, I guess, it's commonly understood to be in the billions. But this was absolutely a play for Justin Sun to preserve his own net worth. And now that Tether is part of the mix, now that he's bought $1 billion worth of Tether, I suspect that USDD will have its death spiral because it is fashioned after Luna and the UST stablecoin, which, we all know how that ended up. Here we are with UST at 2.5 cents, roughly 2.6 cents. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy what people will subject themselves to if they think there's maybe some upside. But yeah, imagine having every one of your dollars be devalued by 98%, 97.5%. Jeez, it's pretty crazy. Barry Merritt says DAI is moving to U.S. Treasuries for their backing instead of USD bank deposits. Perilous times. And I don't blame them for doing that. Some of the institutional paper that Circle claims is backing their USDC stablecoin, they don't give us a line item. There is no public line item accounting for how that's backed. So hopefully MakerDAO is able to, shore up the value of the DAI stablecoin, because it seems like there's a question mark behind all of them. I don't mean to FUD USDC. I just mean to say I don't know that it deserves our unwavering support, our unwavering faith, in the same way that if you doubt USDT, right? Like, it's been used because it's useful. It's got far more volume daily than USDC or Binance USD combined. So, anyway, just to say, we're keeping an eye on all of these. Current snapshot of USDD is $717 million total market cap, and we got to keep an eye on that, I think. Notice how there's that big spike up and then down. I think it's worth taking a little bit closer look at their chart as well. Currently down 0.5%, and moving on down. Yeah, I got a little blip over the last 7 days. Right, I think possibly correlated to that announcement. It does not show us the current market cap. Doesn't show us we don't have a chart for the market cap, unfortunately. I think some people take that advice a little too close to heart, saying that you can't trade market cap. Well, that's not true. In the case of a stablecoin, you kind of can, right? If it's not there, you can't trade it. So it's kind of binary, on or off. Either you have coins or you don't. And in a stablecoin market, that is entirely dictated by market cap. But we see the top markets for it are listed below. Huobi Global is not always known for its most above board trading practices, but yeah, I think that this is correlated to Justin Sun talking about getting involved with Tether, and then I suspect that we are going to see this either implode in value or we're going to just see it sold off. That's my take on it, but I'm a little bit wary of this. We've been talking about how, I wouldn't touch USDD at all, ever. I mean, not going to go there. Total supply, infinite. Circulating supply, wait, what? How can the market cap be 715 million, but the circulating supply be 725? That can't be right. Oh, it's because of the depeg. There you go. My mistake. Circulating supply, though, we should keep an eye on this as well. Hey, tooltip. It doesn't seem... There you go. Cool. Hey, we got a little link to Tron Scan. That could help us too. So, looks like... Hey, and Tron Scan, we do have an API for this. It looks like we might be able to go back and get some historical data. Now, let me pop that way. A teeny tiny little amount there. That's the current market cap as reported by the API from tronscan.org. We might be able to, pull some historical data. That'd be really fun to do, I think. Fun in the way that nerds have fun. Sorry, Mama Biz. This has been a boring one for you. But let's take a look really quickly at the last bit of news for the day. Dogecoin, a whale wallet, has moved billions, billions of Doge, as a non-wallets shift 5 billion. So, what? Is that Turkish? What language is that?
Okay. I don't know.
Okay, we got to take a look at this because then we can get it translated. What the? No, I don't want to see that. I wanted to look at that one tweet. Darn you. Okay. Let's translate this. The third largest, oh, okay, it's the same. It's the same headline. The third largest Dogecoin whale wallet has moved Doge from its wallet to another wallet, to a new wallet. So, yeah, the chain doesn't lie. It just shows there's some movement. I think that's bullish to see people. Oh, and you know what? I could probably show you what that tweet is too, instead of being on the main camera. So I think it's bullish. I think it's great for people to be using the chain natively and not to be relying upon stable coins, not to be relying upon centralized entities, not to not to be looking at what's happening with some of the craziness on these centralized exchanges and these lending platforms. Bitcoin is going to continue marching on as a platform, I think. This is one of those times, though, where I think, yeah, we can hope and pray for that next level to be unlocked. This would be the value buy range, in my opinion. DCA could happen at any point here and in a few years. If the historical cycles continue, you're probably going to be pretty happy with that. Anyway, this has been a longer live stream. Appreciate you sitting with me, Mama Biz. I know this has been a boring one. She's trying to sip her green tea and get some caffeine going there. Get ahead of the morning doldrums. But thank you for live streaming with me. Audience, if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions for future content, let me know in a comment down below. We do whiteboard videos, and we do like to interview the project leads directly. It's something that we did during the last bear market, and it helped us find some projects that I think were proven to act in good faith. But it took 4 years to figure that out. Right? It took 3-4 years to figure out that we could actually see the fruits of their labor and see them operating in good faith when times were lean and when times were flush. So let me know if there are projects that you think would be a good fit. And thank you so much for your support. You're the reason that we make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz.